everyone, this is P4L. In today's P4L review, we'll be doing something a little bit different, going away from Transformers as the usual, and going towards the Super Robot line. So I haven't been doing a lot of reviews outside of Transformers, but this is a new figure from King Arts. They've done a lot of other stuff like Iron Man armor stuff. They did Hulkbuster a while ago, but now they're doing a Mazinger, which is one of my favorite super robots. I only collect a couple of super robots, but he's the classic go-Nagai super robot. He's like what I call the godfather of super robots, and the one I really like. It's kind of boring to some people, but I think he's great. And this is their DFS065. And what's really kind of cool with this is that it comes with this battle damaged armor as well as the original armor that he has, and they're all replaceable. They're all kind of like the Solo Chigoken DX Mazinger from a while back, which is now crazy expensive. Not nearly as big though. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with packaging and review. And the box is really nice. Look at this nice big picture of the bust of Mazinger, and you can see the paintwork and the molding that they did on the battle damage is really great. It's not like they just added paint. They actually have chipped off broken pieces, scrapes, holes in the actual armor. Oddly enough, you only get one chest plate and not the other one, even though you would expect to have both, but it's actually a recreation from the anime. On the top, you have Mazinger Z. On this side, you get a picture of him in his non-damaged form, and on this side, you have another picture of him in his damaged form. Additionally, this has a flip open cover, which is kind of, it goes vertical, but I'm not going to bother going vertical on this, but you can see some more promo images about all the things: battle damage, armored fist, machine gun drill missile, etc. Contents and missile from his belly. But the other cool thing is that you can open this up and you can see that there's a little kind of stenciling or something like that. Here, I'm going to scooch this up a bit. And what you're supposed to do is come in and pull this up, and there's tape at the top. You can open this up and you actually see a window straight into the box, and you can see their Mazinger. Alright, so let's close that up. Scooch this back down. Some warnings and stuff on the bottom. And on the back you get a nice big similar picture, but him in his nice non-damaged form. So yeah, let's get him out of packaging. So out of the box, this is kind of what you get. They're actually two layers of accessories. This actually folds in underneath, so it's a nice compact package, but you do get two. You also get a set of instructions, as you can see here, that do open up. And while this is made to look like you can do a half battle damage, half clean, you can't actually do that because it's not like the DX Mazinger from Solo Chigoken, where you can do half and half pieces. You actually, like for some pieces, like the chest and the waist and the head, you can't actually swap out only half of it or anything like that. The instructions are pretty good. They go into some details about how to install batteries, yada yada yada. Some of the things that are kind of bad is that they're black and white, and some of it's really hard to tell what they're asking you to do, especially with the Scrander attachment, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But by and large, it's a pretty decent set of instructions, but nothing to go crazy about. One other thing they provide is this little warning to say, don't pull the head up by the crown, pull it up by the base of the head, which obviously if you are a collector, you should probably know this out of pure instinct, but in any case. Let's look at these individually. Let's look at the main one first. The main one contains the main figure. Obviously, as you can see here, he contains some battle damage parts like the head, the right chest piece, some shoulder pieces, and some of the feet, but the majority of the battle damage parts are in the other section. In addition to that, it also comes with, 11 batteries. So there's 7 of these smaller batteries, and then 4 of the larger batteries. We'll get into the specifics of the batteries once we actually get into installation. But you also get the powder here. The other box contains the majority of the battle damage parts, as you can see down here, even for the battle damage Scrander parts. Some of you guys might be asking where the battle damage wings on the Scrander is actually ingeniously done. They're actually just the tips here are actually covering them almost like pegs. So when you pull them off, you'll see the battle damage parts on the wings. So I thought that was kind of clever. And again, you get some other pieces. You do have some minor assembly with the Scrander with this fin. All right, so actually, let's get into the review itself. So here we are with, let's say, the non-battle damage parts and option parts that he comes with. The rest of the armor obviously comes installed on him. We'll do a cut later to talk about the damage parts and show off what they look like. But first and foremost, let's go through some of the accessories. So let's start off with the hands. So the hands, the stock hands are just ball-fisted hands. They aren't articulated. These are the second set of hands, which also aren't articulated. They are a soft plastic, but I really would have expected for a figure this size to have some articulation in the hands, or at least some more variety. So this is kind of curled hand. There's no open hand, and he just has the balled up hands. So kind of a disappointment there. Next up, he has some effects parts. These effects parts work in conjunction with the elbows and the forearm pieces. So you can see that they have these kind of pegs here, right? And what they do is clip on here, and then the similar peg that's in the bicep goes in here, and then you'll have effects parts. These also work in conjunction with the LEDs to light them up. I don't think the payoff is worth the engineering that they put in there, but we'll go ahead and keep going. He does have an alternate non-damaged belly piece, so he can shoot out his belly rocket. It does open up. I would think that they could have just incorporated this into the regular belly piece there, or waist piece, the abdominal piece there. There's no reason why they couldn't really have done this, aside from the fact that they added the spring-loaded space fillers, and we'll look at that in a little bit. We also have the iron cutter blades, and they all seem to be the same, 4 of the same identical pieces, and they have tabs and magnets in here, because the way they work is that they're not a separate piece of forearm armor. It actually just splits this armor, the front and back of the forearm armor. You tab it in, and then they attach with these magnets. We'll show that off in a bit. I don't need to go into too much detail there. He does have the Scrander belt piece that is also magnetically attached. I don't know why there are magnets on the side here, though. That kind of confuses me, or at least they look like magnets. I don't know what purpose they serve. And then lastly, we have the Scrander itself, which looks really, really nice. Nice metallic glossy paint and finish. It has some details. As far as assembly, all you have is this additional one piece, and then they peg in there. Unfortunately, while it can separate here to reveal the battle damaged Scrander parts on both sides, I actually think that's actually pretty cleverly done. And they also have parts on the top here that can come off. They, unlike some of the other Mazinger figures we have, it doesn't look like we can unpeg this and flip it around to have like the wings angled the other way, which is kind of a bummer. It does have this little antenna remote control kind of piece. I forget which one. I think it might be DX that allows you to fold this down to hide it. You can't do that here. On the underside, you do have a battery compartment here. And they, like I said, it does come with 7 LR521, which are the smaller ones. So 3 go in here, and then 2 go into each of the forearms for the lighted aspect. And then it lights up here with a switch. You can see these booster rockets, and that works really well. Unfortunately, these are the ones that work the best. We'll show off the other light up features in the forearms and the head and chest later. But they don't work nearly as well or as bright as this does. And also, this little tab here flips up and will plug into the back of Mazinger once we do that. And then this belt piece just goes around his belly. One thing I nearly forgot to show off is the piloter. The hover piloter. I don't know how I almost forgot that. But as you can see, it attaches to the top of the head, as you would expect the piloter to do. And it does actually, quote unquote, transform in the sense that it does The side pieces do fold up on tiny hinges. Be careful, it is thin. It has a couple of opposing pegs. It has a small peg at the top and a big peg hole here, and the opposite keyed into the top of the head. And then you also must have a magnet in here because when you try to throw it on here, it does want to orient, which is nice. But the two pegs do an extra fine job of actually pegging in very securely into the head itself. So taking a closer look, I wanted to highlight some of the features. Again, he does have some translucent chest pieces, which you can see some of the detailing and mechanics behind the actual translucent red. You can see some of the molding here, the chest molding, even though this doesn't open up just there. It has some forearm detailing, again, some rivets and such and so forth, paint on the cuffs down here. Really nicely done. It's a nice glossy, lighter blue paint than like the really dark navy that we got with DX, or even I think a little bit lighter than the GX70. The head sculpt looks really, really nice. I think the eyes look a little bit off to me, maybe because it's not as angled perhaps, but by and large it's a really good head sculpt. The antenna, he does have translucent eyes, but it does look quite good. The antennae are really sharp. And then again, some detailed lines and panel work there. As far as articulation, he does have a ball jointed head. His neck is also on a ball joint. His chest panels can come off, they're attached with magnets. The shoulders are in two pieces. Let's move this out of the way so you can actually see. The inner shoulder is like a butterfly joint. I can't really tell what kind of joint this is though. It feels like it might be a ball joint because you can go at all sorts of angles, but it really only wants to like stay in place at forward, back, up, and down. Like if I want to do a diagonal, it doesn't really, it like kind of forces itself back up or something like that. So I don't really know how it goes. The arm can go out this way, but it can also rotate around. Bicep swivel. He also has like an elbow swivel because of the way the port works. He has an elbow joint which hides itself, and a ball jointed fist, which we can just pop off. And since we're here, we'll go ahead and pop the other one on, very easy. I did want to show off one feature. So the way it attaches is with this clear peg port thing that I was talking about before. But this part here, to do his like elbow missiles, you pull down on this joint and just be careful with it. It's just friction tabbed in. You can lift this up and you can see he has kind of the needles or missile arrays in his elbows there. And you can do that with or without the forearm attached. But if you want, you can actually use that for articulation purposes as well. While we're here, let's go ahead and show off the missile, the action effect or whatever, effect parts. That just pegs in here. This pegs in as well. I will say the peg on the effects parts is not nearly as sturdy or as tight as I would like. So while it's not going to fall off, it does come off very easily. And you might be able to fix that by maybe putting some paper or something in between that gap to make it a little bit tighter so it doesn't come off as easily. But also the molding on the elbows kind of interferes with the effects part, so it doesn't get as deep as you might want it to. Like there's two ridges here and it looks like you can only get into one of the ridges, which is kind of a bummer. So let's just keep going. As far as the upper body, there's actually kind of a SH figure art style, the ball joint on the upper body, and when you move it around you can see that there's actually a filler here. We'll show this off later, but it's actually spring-loaded panels that are attached to the waist and back pieces that fill in that gap. Same thing for the bottom here, so if you have him hunching over like that, you're not going to see anything. Additionally, there's a hidden joint if you pull up on the upper torso, which gives you even more additional range in the upper torso. So that's when the upper torso gap fillers really come into play. I don't think there's one for the waist. I've been trying to quote-unquote activate it, but I don't think there is one there. But he does have a ball-jointed waist. He can rotate all the way around, except for the armor will pop off. So you really get limited mobility with the armor on. Like you get like a couple of degrees at best with the armor on, which is pretty much a bummer. The legs also works kind of in a sick SH figure arts way in that you can pull down the hips. So this is all tucked up. This is brought down a bit. And that gives you some extra articulation. It is a ball joint in here, which means it's not as strong as it could be, especially given the weight of the legs, given that I think the thighs and most of the diecast are in the feet and the endoskeleton and not in the armor. So I wish they could have done a little bit better with that, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. Thigh swivel, a nice knee bend. This is the only ratcheted joint in here, and it has one of those hiding back of the knee joints. So when you go in, you get a nice deep knee bend. So you can get some kneeling poses. Coming down to the foot, he does have working pistons, so you get a nice ankle tilt. You get forward and back. And then actually there's a hidden toe joint. So the toe joint itself is on a separate hinge, and you get a good amount of range. You do have ankle swivel a little bit. It's about probably not 45 degrees to each side, but a decent amount to each side. More than I think you'll really need. And then lastly, another hidden joint here is you can actually expand the ankle just a little bit, like just a few millimeters. See? And that'll give you a little bit more range. I don't know if it was wholly necessary, but it's nice that we get it. Alright, so let's go ahead and add on some of the other parts. So I'm going to go ahead and add on his armor pieces for the iron cutter pieces. And most of the armor pieces do have matching magnets so that you can store them like this if you want to put this off to the side. Some of them actually do have magnetic pieces that attach to the main body as well, but the arms don't. So for the forearms, you have, they have a little battery compartment here. I've already installed the batteries. These are, again, the LR521s. So 2 of them in each forearm. I wish this compartment held together a little bit better, but you just install those. And the nice bonus on all these compartments, the forearms, the Jet Grander, and the back of Mazinger, is that they actually molded in the battery type into the back of the battery case. So if you forget and you don't want to go get your manual, you can actually just peek in there. And they have a little switch here, which activates it. There we go. And I'll show off how not well this works. So there we go. I know I am underneath my filming lights, but I don't think you can even tell when this is on or off. So this is on. And this is, come on, this is off. Can you tell the difference? I can barely tell the difference, and I'm like right up in front of it. So I don't think this is very well executed at all. Pretty much a bummer for that. But these are keyed in tabs. Like I said, it shouldn't matter which way they go in because they're all identical from what I can tell. I don't know why this one's not going in. Okay, that one's good. There we go. And then you just replace the forearm pieces. So again, now since these have magnets installed in the blades themselves, these will attach to the new iron cutter pieces, and you'll have a small gap, which I didn't like at first, but I guess it kind of makes sense. When these come out, I guess realistically speaking, engineering, they would probably split the forearms and the blades would come out. So I guess it's not bad, but I think I would have preferred them not having a gap. But you can see how that works. Alright. Let's see, is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? Oh, so the other battery piece, or battery pack is, aside from the other form, is in the back here, and you use, again, another Phillips head, get in there, and then there's a switch here. And I'll show you how this looks. And again, you can probably barely tell that this light is on. You can tell from like the real center here. Let me see if I can do it. And the eyes as well, but they're not that bright. I don't know if you can even tell that when this is on or off for the eyes. In the camera, I don't seem to be able to tell. The chest is pretty weak in terms of the LEDs. And they even say in the manual that you can't keep it on for more than 10 minutes or else the the lights will start getting drained and a very low lighting effect. So I can't imagine it being much lower than it already is. So if you're looking for LED effects on this guy or a Mazinger, this guy probably isn't your best bet there. So let's see what else we can do. Oh, since we're already at the belly, let's go ahead and take off this piece. And like I said, the back is the same. It has these spring-loaded pieces that fill in the gaps. So zooming in a little bit closer, there doesn't seem to be any kind of like, you know, most places, like in Transformers and stuff, when they put springs in, there's usually a notch that, or a little pin that like will hold one side in place, or the other, each side. But that doesn't seem to be the case here, which is really kind of odd. So there's nothing keeping these springs in place aside from your hope that they won't come out. The back panel, which I'll take off now. I hope the spring doesn't fly everywhere. The back panel is glued into place. I don't know if you can see this, but this is just all glue. I can't see that there's any plastic molding in there. And I guess that's how these springs are held into place. It's really odd. It feels very cheap for them to do that. And not very secure. My spring is already, like as you can see here, already bending out. And there's nothing really holding it into place here. Let's go ahead and install the other piece, the open belly rocket piece. So you can see what that looks like. There you go. As far as I can tell, the rocket doesn't move one way or the other. Alright, lastly, before we go into the alternate decos, we're going to go ahead and put on the scrander. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and put this on. Again, I don't know why there's any magnets on here, on the sides, but there are. Fair bit of warning, there is already, I've only done this twice or maybe 3 times, and there's already paint rub in various places on the silver, even up here from the upper body armor and here. So just be careful as always installing this. This is a constant problem with Mazinger figures and the scrander belt. It does attach really well in place, which is good, but there's obviously paint rub. Secondly, the other weird thing about this is the doors on the back. The mechanisms, how they work, and the black and white instructions are really bad at showing you this. You actually have to flip these panels open. So you flip this left side open first, and then you flip the other side open. It's kind of hard to get at, so I would recommend maybe using a tool like a spudger, like I always do, and opening that up. And then you'll see the little keyhole that matches with this. And you go ahead and just port that on, and you'll see there's like notches in here as well to accommodate these panels, which I think is a really poor design, to be honest. And it doesn't feel very secure. And nothing even locks these panels open. They don't even open all the way either. So it's a really weird design. I would never have gone with this kind of mechanism. I would have gone maybe with just like a spring-loaded mechanism, or just removing a little door port, and that's it. But as you can see, I'm struggling just getting this on here in a way that I feel secure about it. And if you're having troubles, I was told that you can actually poke through the keyhole on the back right here to open up the panel from the inside. Yeah, see, I can't even, because of the way this door works, and since it doesn't lock into place, you have to basically make sure it's all the way open and going into that gap that I was talking about before in the scrander. It's just a really bad design. Alright, finally got in. So now it feels secure. But getting that in was way more trouble than it's worth. It could have been implemented so much easier, I feel. But once it's on, it looks great. I mean, I'll give it that. Alright, so We're back. As you can see, I have laid out all of these are just the battle damage pieces for your battle damage Mazinger. And so there's a lot of pieces, and most of these are doubled, right? Because they're forward and back, front and back. Let's go ahead and look at the endoskeleton first. And you can see there's a lot of nice detail, a lot of nice paint, glossy paint, metallic paint all over the place. You can see some more of how the articulation works, the different joints and so forth. You can see like the upper body, how the ball joint actually pops out one little bit to give you the extra range there. As far as diecast content, I think most of it is in the thighs and in the feet here themselves. I was able to figure out if I'm trying to feel around. Like the thighs, definitely. I don't think there's any other diecast, from what I can tell. Maybe no. I'm pretty sure it's just this lower part here and the thighs, maybe here and this piece here, but not a lot of diecast. He doesn't feel as heavy. Like when you picked up GX70, you felt, oh my gosh, this guy has a ton of diecast. It doesn't feel the same way here. And same thing with the DX Mazinger. You felt when you picked up just the endoskeleton that it felt pretty light, but it had almost all of its, or at least a lot of its armor was diecast in that figure. This guy, mostly plastic, but it's really well done. Like the details are quite nice all over the place. And you can just see how much articulation he has. He can go a lot more. Yeah, the range of articulation that this guy has is really good for the figure. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the other stuff. Most of it's all just battle damaged details, but I wanted to highlight some pieces like the head. You can see like this, all this molding here is different. It's all broken off. There's rust or paint or something like that all over the place. And that's really well done. The paintwork on this guy and the molding is probably the highlight of this set. That's what you're paying the extra money for, so around $300 US. That's where most of the money is coming from, not from like the diecast content or overall size or even the accessories as far as, you know, the quality of this. Like this feels a little bit flimsy, right? This is kind of loose. But, and the LED features, those are not very good either. But this stuff looks phenomenal. Like even the black here has, you know, abrasions and cracks all over the place. You can see silver details all over. This is where the money's coming from. Even with the Scrander, you have these pieces that will go in here, and then you can see the inside details of the engines for the Scrander. I mean, that's where all the money has been put into, I believe, with this set. And that's really up to you whether you think that's going to be worth it for this set. So let's go ahead and install all this on. I'll probably cut. The only other thing that I wish they had was some battle damaged hands. They didn't provide any battle damaged hands at all, so that's why I kept those on. But everything else goes on as you would expect. As far as some of the other pieces, they do have specific left and right orientations. They say on the inside you'll see L and R, but I don't think that really matters because most of the pieces can be mirrored. So like if you want the left bicep pieces to go on the right side, you can. I guess it will just be quote unquote less accurate. One noted detail that I realized is that the armor for the battle damaged all seem to be molded in blue, like the inside is blue, while the regular ones seem to be molded in black. So I don't know what that's about. And here we have battle damaged armor Mazinger. And let's do a quick 360 of him so you can see that. And this guy just looks phenomenal with the battle damage. It looks really nice. The fact that we're getting both a battle damaged and non-battle damaged version in one figure is really nice compared to what you know, Solar Chigoken is doing. You have to buy the separate battle damaged one, and both of them were pretty expensive. Granted, you do get two full figures as opposed to one figure and one set of armor, but I really like that they give you the option to do this here. I kind of would have liked another chest panel just because. I mean, why not throw that in? But I guess just to be accurate, they didn't include that. And then, oh, actually, let's look at the Scrander first. So we see the jets, and you can see these pegs. And they're like steel girder pieces still in there. And that looks really nice. The one thing with mine is I don't know why this side always has a gap on the back. Next up, let's put on the Scrander. I actually like to extend the upper body just to give you a little bit more room when installing this. But this itself is also highly detailed and painted with all this battle damage. Let's go ahead and install that in. And then you open up the back as you did before, and you're going to install the Scrander into the backpack like before. That's going to be as good as I want to get it for this review. I don't feel like taking off the backpack. But like I said, he looks really good. I think this is where a lot of the money that you're spending is going to be worthwhile. Alright, and here's just a quick comparison of the various Mazinger Z I have. So in the middle is the King Arts, the left is GX70, and the right is the DX Solo Chogokin. So just looking at it here, you can see the stark differences even in the colors. DX always had kind of a purplish, darker, navy colored blue. This is kind of a bright royal blue, and this is a darker but not purple like this one, blue. You can see the stylings are quite different. In terms of overall proportions, I would say I like his proportions the best. One of the issues I've always had with DX is that his legs seem a little bit thicker than his upper body, and I always thought his head was too small for his body. But otherwise, I mean, it really comes down to preferences. If you like something more updated or stylized, this might be the guy for you. Obviously, I have the effects parts that makes his limbs look a little wonky in terms of size, but this will give you a general idea of what you're getting for the figure. So on to final thoughts. Is this King Arts Mazinger worth the asking price of $300? And I would say, long story short, yes, it definitely is. One, because he has immense articulation, like SH Figure Arts level of articulation. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I mean, given how much or how little articulation he has and how little he has, this guy blows them both out of the water. As far as features and accessories, the entire battle damage set is phenomenal. The finish on them, the molding on them, that's where a lot of the money is going for this figure. It's going into that second set where head to toe, except for the fists, oddly enough, are all being replaced by battle damage parts. That's a lot of extra parts, and a lot of extra molding, a lot of extra paint and details. So that's where a lot of that value is going. If you don't want that set or you don't find value in that, then it's going to be harder to recommend at that price. Without that, I would say that this guy is probably worth $200 or something like that. But overall, I also like the overall look of this figure. It's still very much like these two, but slightly modernized, slightly updated, with some small details that don't distract too much from the overall look, the classic look. Is it perfect? Definitely not. Like these effects parts, they don't go really well. The LEDs are not very good or not very bright, except in the Scrander itself. The Scrander connection is pretty bad. The backpack connection thing that they did is pretty bad. What else? The rub on some of the paint, all that stuff, all little things that I think you can live with. And at $300, I still say it's a really good deal. I would love to have seen a flight stand or a figure stand with it, but I guess we can use some third-party ones for that. All right, so that's my take. If you want to add this guy to your collection, you may be able to still pick some up from Toy Dojo. I'll add a link in the description below. They were very limited, and they even had a limited edition with the doubless head. For $50 extra. I didn't get that because I didn't think that was worth it. But if you like that, I guess you can get that elsewhere. I just don't think it's worth $50. If you like the video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. It really does help. And I want to do more of this stuff, but I want to make sure that there's actually viewership for these kinds of reviews. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get to that as soon as possible. All right, that's all for today, everyone. Hope you have a good one.